When Fracked was originally released in 2021 as a PSVR exclusive, it quickly garnered attention for its innovative blend of high-octane action, intuitive VR mechanics, and striking visual style. Designed specifically with the limitations of the PSVR in mind, Fracked felt like a game tailor-made to get the best from the hardware it was designed for. Now, as Fracked makes its way onto the Quest, the question is, will nDreams update their design choices to once again play to the strengths of the hardware? And if not, will the design choices from 2021 hold up, or will Fracked feel like a relic of the past? At its core, Fracked is a narrative-driven shooter with a straightforward premise. Players step into the boots of a lone soldier who unwittingly stumbles onto an isolated mountain fracking operation. This isn't your typical energy extraction site, however. An alien corruption has spread throughout the camp, turning miners into grotesque enemies and threatening the very world itself. Alongside your trusty eye-in-the-sky sidekick, players are tasked with investigating the mysterious outbreak and eradicating the alien menace. The story unfolds over a 3 to 3.5 hour campaign, taking players through a series of 8 fairly linear levels. The game's structure alternates between intense action set pieces, thrilling skiing sequences, and climbing sections that, while serviceable, don't actually add that much to the overall experience. The action sequences, particularly those where players ski down the slopes while shooting enemies on snowmobiles, are exhilarating at first, but quickly lose their novelty value. Despite the initial burst of excitement, the campaign's short length leaves much to be desired. What could have been an epic, sprawling adventure feels more like a bite-sized thrill ride. Fun while it lasts, but over too soon. Fracked offers an interesting mix of classic run-and-gun gameplay mixed with elements of traditional cover shooters. The game's cover system is one of its standout features, allowing players to physically move in and out of cover using their offhand. This adds a level of immersion and physicality that a simple button press fails to achieve. The action is fast-paced, with set pieces that serve up waves of enemies for the player to mow down. However, these set pieces often feel a bit fillery, with limited objectives beyond just surviving the onslaught. Unfortunately, Fracked is hampered by some clunky design choices that feel inherited from the PSVR controllers and detract from the overall experience. Holstering weapons, for example, is far from intuitive. Rather than the accepted standard of using the grip button to grab and holster weapons from intuitive locations on the body, switching weapons is done via a button press. New weapons instantly materialize in your hands in a way that is a bit jarring and immersion-breaking. Holstering involves an awkward long press while holding the gun by your hip, a process which felt cumbersome at best. The inability to dual-wield or two-hand weapons seems to be a deliberate way to force players to engage with the cover mechanics, but it makes the gunplay feel one-dimensional. For the cover-based elements, it makes sense and is great, but the run-and-gun elements are sorely let down by the inability to rush into a situation guns akimbo. The game's limited weapon selection further exacerbates this issue. Players have access to only 2 main weapons and 3 special weapons, the latter of which cannot be holstered and can only be used for a single clip. This severely restricts the variety of combat encounters, especially when paired with the limited enemy types. There are only 3 main enemy types, and while they are mixed up by arming them with the same limited weapons available to the player, the overall combat experience can feel a little repetitive. On the plus side though, Fracked does incorporate some enjoyable environmental interactions. Zip lines and exploding barrels are scattered liberally throughout the levels, providing ample opportunities for creative kills and quick escapes. However, the sheer abundance of these elements raises the question, what does the fracking operation need with so many zip lines? And why the hell are there explosive barrels absolutely everywhere? The climbing sections, though present, are mercilessly few and far between. They serve as a brief interlude between the more action-packed sequences, and they do an okay job of delivering a few cinematic thrills. But like so many games that incorporate superficial climbing mechanics, these sections lack the tension and nuance delivered by more dedicated climbing games, like the Climb series. As a result, these sections lack the impact that they could easily have delivered. If there's one area where Fracked truly excels, it is in its visual presentation. The game's art direction is nothing short of fantastic, making superb use of a stylized, cel-shaded art style. Textures are bold and vibrant with strong outlines and a thoughtfully conceived palette that makes the game pop and ensures that the world feels consistent and vibrant. One odd quirk, however, is the giant hands that seem to be an nDreams calling card these days. Ghostbusters, I'm looking at you. While it's not a deal breaker, it is a bit unusual, and it might take some getting used to. The audio experienced in Fracked is equally impressive. The soundtrack dynamically shifts with the action, adding to the intensity of firefights and the tension of the quieter moments. The voice acting is top-notch, showcasing the difference that a proper budget can make when securing professional voice talent. Sound effects are crisp and impactful, and the use of spatial audio helps players subconsciously navigate the chaotic battlefield, adding another layer of immersion to the experience. Fracked is a game that oozes style and accessibility, serving as an excellent entry point for players new to VR shooters. With outstanding art direction and some thoroughly engaging set pieces, there is a lot to enjoy in the Quest port of nDreams' 2021 PSVR hit. That said, Fracked can't help but feel slightly hampered by its heritage and struggles to keep up with more modern VR shooters. Despite this though, Fracked is still a fun and engaging experience, especially for those looking for a short, stylish romp through a visually stunning world. 7.5. Fractious. If you are enjoying the channel and would like to stay up to date with all the news, reviews, and soon-to-be podcast episodes, click the subscribe button. And now, don't feel bad about leaving me a like. I promise I won't let it go to my head.